If you've ever had to give a presentation in Spanish, or if you've had to be evaluated on your level of Spanish, you know, like I do, it's scary. And that's why in this video, you're gonna see what it's like and the kind of questions you'll be asked in a real-world Spanish oral exam where you need to be placed into a certain group level. Now, let me first start off by saying that we are not going to be talking about like the Cervantes test or any kind of high school, college level final exam where you need to speak. Those exams tend to be very structured. Your professor is going to give you a document or some sort of final exam preparation that's going to show you what you need to know. You'll have to talk about the subjunctive. You'll have to differentiate between tú and usted. You'll have to be able to use both past tenses. You're going to be able to specifically study these types of things. And Cervantes, if you want a certificate from Spain, is more so the same. There are tons of YouTube videos on how to study for this particular exam. What I want to talk about is more of my personal experience, and that is going to a language school where it's a very informal conversation to place you in what level you need to be put in, beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So first of all, these exams are extremely informal. So although I know you're gonna be nervous because I was, there's nothing to be nervous about. But don't let the informality fool you. Sometimes it can feel like you're not being evaluated when you are. So we need to make sure we're prepared. Okay, so just a minute, Darcy and I are gonna go over two separate interview styles. The first style is what I like to call minimally driven or minimally assisted. Now, this is the kind of interview where someone will ask you your name, get you kind of comfortable, but after that, they simply ask you a very open-ended question. They'll say something like, "Tell me about yourself." Now, in this format, they're trying to judge your ability to talk about various topics. So are you just going to introduce yourself and then not really know what else to say? Are you going to be able to use intermediate Spanish and maybe talk about your likes and dislikes, your family? Will you talk about advanced topics using the subjunctive and getting into politics or world news? So it'll just be a very open-ended question where they'll see what you're going to say. On top of that, they're also going to test your confidence. How confident are you in the things that you're saying? Because a lot of times, even though you make mistakes, they see your level of confidence and that you're a person that's willing to take risks. Now, I don't think that this style is used so often. It's only happened to me once, as opposed to the driven or assisted interview is much more common and has happened to me 2 or 3 times. Now, in the assisted interview, the interviewer will ask you something that's very direct, something that you can't really expand upon. And then they'll proceeding to ask you question by question. And each question will get a little bit harder. So they'll start with something simple, and then they'll maybe ask you your likes and dislikes. Then they'll ask you something where maybe you have to tell a story in the past. After that, they might ask you something that's conditional. Then they might ask you something about your wishes or desires while you use the subjunctive. So the questions will be simple, but they'll get harder and harder as the interview goes on, and they'll be very direct. Okay, so let's get to the interviews. So the first one we're going to show is this kind of open-ended, minimally assisted interview. We're going to do it once with a beginner and once with more of an intermediate level student. Afterwards, we'll show you one interview that is assisted with kind of an intermediate level student.
Hola.
Hola.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Me llamo Jeff.
Mira, tranquilo.
Okay.
Esta es una plática informal. Cuéntame de ti.
Ok, sí. Soy Jeff, soy de Estados Unidos, tengo 40 años, vivo en Michigan, me gusta tocar la guitarra y correr. Okay, so at this point, as a beginner, I probably wouldn't know what else to say without more help. So even though this is a minimal assist from the instructor, they could ask 1 or 2 questions just to get a little bit more information out of you if you stop so quickly. So let's keep going.
Ah, tocas la guitarra.
Mm-hmm.
¿Cuánto tiempo llevas tocando la guitarra? ¿Y tocas otros instrumentos?
Para 2 años y toco la guitarra. También toco el piano.
¿Y en qué trabajas?
Soy mesero. Es un restaurante, no.
Bien hecho. Puedes esperarnos en la otra sala.
Gracias.
Hola.
Hola,
¿Cómo te llamas?
me llamo Jeff, ¿y tú?
Yo soy Darcy. Ahora tranquilo, esta es una plática informal. Relájate y cuéntame de ti.
Ok, pues me llamo Jeff, soy de Estados Unidos. Ahora vivo en Utah, pero antes vivía en Michigan. Trabajo para un restaurante, soy mesero y pues tengo 40 años. Tengo una mascota, un perro que se llama Casper. Y mis papás viven en Florida y tengo un hermano que es neuropsicólogo. Y ya, en mi tiempo libre me gusta mucho tocar la guitarra y el piano. Y me gusta mucho, últimamente, me gusta mucho correr. Antes pescaba mucho con mi papá, pero ya no. ¿Qué más?
¿Corres muy seguido?
Intento correr cuatro veces a la semana. Antes hacía deportes. Mi deporte favorito es básquetbol, pero ya no tengo suficiente tiempo para jugar básquetbol. Entonces, básicamente solo corro 3 o 4 veces a la semana. Obviamente estudio español y estoy aquí para mejorar mi nivel.
Muy bien, pues muchas gracias y puedes pasar a la sala.
Gracias. Okay, so we see in those examples, the beginner student really couldn't expound on any more ideas. He really needed to be sort of assisted in that interview to really keep talking. He probably knew more Spanish, but wasn't able to come up with it on his own. As the intermediate person, although he probably didn't say everything correctly, or maybe needed to be driven a little bit, we saw right away that he had confidence and that he was willing to take risks, and could definitely tell he was having a bit more fun trying to show off the Spanish that he knew, taking risks. By the way, if you guys are enjoying this video, please consider giving us a like and subscribe. It really helps us to grow the channel. Okay, now let's see the interview style where it's very assisted.
Hola, ¿cómo te llamas?
Hola, me llamo Jeff, ¿y tú?
Yo soy Darcy. Esta es una plática informal, así es que tranquilo, te haré algunas preguntas para conocerte. ¿De dónde eres?
Soy de Estados Unidos, vivo en Michigan.
¿Tu familia de dónde es?
Mi familia es de Michigan, pero ahora viven en California.
¿Qué haces en tu tiempo libre?
En mi tiempo libre me gusta tocar la guitarra y correr.
¿Tienes otro pasatiempo favorito?
Antes jugaba básquetbol, ahora me gusta correr.
¿Cuánto tiempo llevas estudiando español?
Estudio español por 1 año, pero solamente con aplicaciones.
¿Cuál es tu recuerdo favorito?
Probablemente era mi graduación, porque toda mi familia estaba. Todavía mis abuelos estaban vivos, entonces toda la familia estaban juntos. Es un recuerdo que es muy bonito para mí.
¿Y qué vas a hacer aquí en Guatemala?
Voy a estudiar español durante la semana y tengo planes de ir al volcán este fin de semana.
Ok, muy bien. Y platícame, la última pregunta.
Ok.
Si fueras rico, ¿qué harías?
Si yo fuera rico, compraría una casa.
Muy bien. Muchas gracias. Puedes pasar a la sala.
Gracias. Okay, so we see in this one here that the person made some mistakes, but because they were assisted, they were sort of able to just answer the questions, and we got to see how much they knew, where their mistakes were, where their confidence was, where their lack of confidence was, and was probably a good assessment of their Spanish level. So, let's recap. The most important thing is to have confidence, have fun, and to take risks. And also remember that this is an extremely informal conversation, so there's nothing wrong if you want to feel even more prepared to ask the instructor how they're going to test your level. Will there be a multiple of questions, more simple, direct questions? These professors are highly trained and they probably already know how and where to put you in what level. So those are the types of interview processes that I've experienced doing foreign language exchange schools. Have you experienced others? Let us know in the comments. Now watch this video to improve your Spanish. Until next time.